Item 1, call to order and certification of quorum.
Councilmember Simpson.
Here.
Councilmember Simpson is absent. Councilmember Townsend. Mayor Skipworth.
Here.
Councilmember Brantley is absent. Councilmember Schick.
Here.
Councilmember Linton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Move on to item 2, the invocation. Councilman Simpson, could you lead us, please?
Let us pray. O Lord our God, how excellent is your name. Every good and perfect gift comes from above. We thank you for this opportunity to gather once again. We ask your blessing upon this city, its citizens, the staff members, elected officials, this county, this state, and this great nation. Allow this to be an effective and efficient meeting. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Please join me for the pledges. First, United States pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Move on to item 4, announcements and presentations. Announcements concerning items of community interest. No action will be taken or discussed. Council member comments regarding items of community interest in accordance with Texas Government Code Section 551.0415. Item 4A, council comments. We'll begin with Councilman Linton.
Good evening, everybody. Just wanted to give kudos to whoever assisted in correcting the I-45-517 intersection signal timing change. This was a couple weeks ago. I just kept forgetting to mention it. I don't know if it was a city manager or assistant city manager, but whoever made the call or got in contact with the third-party signal company, thank you very much for helping. It did help reduce traffic congestion significantly, especially on the westbound lanes of 517 at 45. Please support those in need and in our community by contacting the M.I. Lewis Social Service Center. The mission of the M.I. Lewis Social Service Center is to render aid to individuals with emergency needs, to make referrals to other agencies for additional support, and to encourage its clients towards self-sufficiency. I stopped by Bayou Animal Services to check on them this, as I try to do every week, and they said they are in the need of large pet crates. 42 inches and up are preferred, but anything would help. The shelter is full, so please stop by to adopt if you can. And Anna, do you have the? These are the 6 dogs that when I went up there and I was looking for a friend for my existing dog, they have a program that allows you to bring your animal, work well with your pet, that get along the best. And these are the 6 dogs that I saw that have not been adopted and that I did not pick. So please try to show deference for them. All 6 of them were awesome, some better than others. They worked well with, they were very dog friendly, and you can find more specifics about them on the BAS website. Also, please adopt them so you can help me deal with my residual guilt for not adopting all 6 of them. And then that's Marvis, the black lab on the left. That's the one that I adopted a few weeks ago, and that's Liza on the right. Both of them have almost taken my knee out 2 or 3 times. Also, while I was at the BAS, I was talking with Director Nina Baker, and a citizen came in for some food assistance for their pet. I wasn't aware that the BAS provided that service, and Nina informed me that they call it Pet Pantry, which is for people in the community who have fallen on hard times. Also, it was recently restocked by the wonderful folks with BFF. They're there in the photo to your right. And I want to thank them all very much for their efforts and assistance. Al Garza's Premier Martial Arts is offering a free ladies self-defense workshop, 6:30 to 8 o'clock tonight. It'll be in process in 25 minutes, so head out of here and get over there on time. This free 2-hour course is offered monthly. They also have other courses available, so please contact them for more information. The Gulf Coast Epilepsy Alliance will be having its annual Butterfly Release Award Program and Pop-Up Market event on Sunday, October 8th at from 12 to 5 p.m. at Carbide Park in Lamarck, Texas. 1 in 10 will have a seizure in his or her lifetime, and 1 in 26 will be diagnosed with epilepsy. I have family experience with this, and this is a great organization, and I'm doing what I can to help them out. So I hope y'all can make it out. Please register for free on the GCEA website and help support this great organization. Also, I will be helping by providing music for this event for free again. So please bring your earplugs. TML, I'm going to be attending TML October 4th through 6th. And just wanted to mention to everybody, I usually don't like attending these events, but I did learn quite a bit at the first one I attended last year. And so I think it's worth it. In fact, they're going to have quite a few seminars on AI, which is of great interest to me and actually part of my job. I spoke with the Public Works Director, Alexis Santiago, about doing a ride-along quarterly, and so we'll be doing again in October. It really helps me better visualize what improvements are being made and ensuring that our investments in infrastructure are meeting the needs of the citizens. At the next council, I should have a status on the I-45-517 intersection with the TxDOT construction from David Lazaro, the Galveston County area engineer with TxDOT. And last time I had tried to contact him, approximately 48 hours, there was an excavator over there doing work. I'm not sure if there's a correlation there, but that was good to see. So it looks like they're finally dismantling that section of the bridge and moving forward that work. Also, two more things. I have some experience with artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning foundation models, and will be giving the city manager and the IT department a presentation about its use in municipalities, and specifically applications which will benefit the city of Dickinson. Right now, most people are familiar with the natural language processing aspect of AI, and I see potential in several areas, such as identifying ordinances that are antiquated, superseded, duplicative, etc. I even saw, I was in a training session today, and I saw that one of the image processing models was able to look at a city and its city limits and then make recommendations on zoning. It's just amazing stuff. And also, it is a tool and can be dangerous just like any other tool. OSIRIS-REx, we landed this past Saturday. OSIRIS-REx touched down around 10:34 a.m. on Saturday morning after traveling 3.86 billion miles. It gathered material for an asteroid, Bennu, which has a has a 0.037% chance of impacting Earth on September 24th, 2182. This mission will help us analyze the contents of the asteroid and may help us better protect ourselves in the future if necessary from other asteroids.
So clear your calendar on 2182.
2182,
Good.
yeah. So make sure you have all your bills paid. Solar eclipse. Saturday, October 14th, 23. Ring of Fire annual solar eclipse will be viewable in South Texas, and some calculations are putting a prime viewing spot in a parking lot in New Braunfels, just FYI if you're in the area. And then next year, we'll have a total solar eclipse. And that was all oh, and also one last thing concerning the OSIRIS-REx landing. It traveled 3.86 billion miles. And next week, it's going to be in the parking lot, across the parking lot from my office. I love science. That's all I had.
All right. Thank you. All right. Councilman Schick.
Thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight. This is really wonderful that we're starting to get some decent crowds here at council, and really appreciate it. Last Thursday, I attended the unveiling of the city's new Marshmaster. It's an amphibious machine. Councilman Townsend and Councilman Simpson and I got to tour it, got to watch it in work. I'm very excited. I think it's going to be an asset for the city. It's obvious that the employees are very excited about it. But anyway, it's quite a machine. We got to watch it demonstrate its aquatic acrobatics out there. So we should be able to get to areas that we haven't been able to get to in years. I also attended the update on the lawsuit between the city and the Casa Grande Airbnb. Got the update on it. As far as I know, we're still headed towards trial on that. More in the future on that. Last night, I attended my first board of. Oh my God! I just drew a blank. Building standards. Excuse me. I don't write this down. It's gone. It was very interesting. It was It's good to see that the board members are taking an interest in what's going on in the city. We have a little work to do to make it a little bit smoother operation, but I would encourage everybody to see this part of the process. The Board of Adjustment meets later on this week, I believe. Okay, all right. Just a reminder, and Joan, I'm not going to steal your thunder because I'm sure that that's why you're here. Put on your calendar that we're going to have a Camp Kirby Civil War camp talk by an author named Charlie Gordy. My understanding is that this man is extremely knowledgeable. This Civil War camp was on the banks of Dickinson Bayou, pretty close to where Calumet is right now. Should be very, very interesting. And it is tomorrow, Thursday evening at 7 o'clock here at the council chamber. Please tell everybody. Saturday, the 30th, we'll have the unveiling of the Italian heron at the gazebo. It has not been covered up. I've seen a lot of people stopping by to look at it, but please come by. It's an exciting addition to the heron collection in town. October 14th, which is a Saturday, put it on your calendar, the Dickinson Plant Exchange will occur. Last year, we had probably about 500 people show up out there. It's a great event, and it is from 7 a.m. till noon. I'm looking at Joan shaking her head. Okay. But next Tuesday is National Night Out. This is an opportunity to meet your neighbors, knock on doors, and get to know who's around. I just talked to the chief and said that we have a good number of subdivisions that have already expressed a desire to do this thing. So please get out there and knock on your neighbors and meet who lives across the street and on either side of you. Thank you again.
All right. Thank you. Councilman Townsend.
I want to thank everybody who's come out tonight. Also, it's that time of year. Festival of Lights is starting the first Saturday and Sunday of every month, starting the first weekend of October. So if you've got any groups that need to volunteer or somebody wanting to volunteer, go out to the park out here at Paul Hopkins. They'll be working Saturdays and Sunday weekends from 1st of October all the way through December when it opens up. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Councilman Simpson.
Thanks, Mayor, Council, city citizens, city staff. Welcome to those in the building and those watching online. Since the last meeting, I attended the Houston Galveston Area Council Finance Committee meeting, the regular Board of Directors meeting, and then a strategic planning meeting for the Texas Workforce Commission. They're trying to revamp how they do those things. Of note, at the Finance Committee meeting and the Board of Directors meeting, there was approval for funding for a study to be done on Cemetery Road. And it's going to be from, because that area of Cemetery Road that they want to do the study on runs through Santa Fe, Dickinson, and unincorporated Galveston County. They want to address some of those needs. And going forward, the only way to get, at least under this administration, a lot of federal funding is to, number one, do studies, and number two, take a regional approach. They're not going directly into individual cities anymore. Groups of cities have to come together in order to try to apply for the funding. I also intend to attend both National Night Out and the Texas Municipal League Conference in Dallas as well. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Thank you. We'll move on to item 4B, the city manager update.
Mayor, council, thank you. Pretty short one this go around because we had done the Hewitt-Zollers update last time. The big thing I want to put on your radar is November 7th, Election Day, the Uniform Day. We do have one item that's going to be on the ballot, and that's going to be the election that the council had ordered to renew the sales tax for the street maintenance fund. Very important fund. It allows Alexis to do a lot of the work he's doing. It provides us the match funding for a lot of these grant funded projects and things of that nature. So just want to let you know that you'll be starting to see literature kind of going out to let people know what is the sales tax, the street maintenance fund sales tax. And we'll be putting together some informational items for that. So just want to put that on your radar. That's going to be kind of our project for the next few weeks. I did want to mention to you guys that we are still awaiting, the big project that we're waiting for is going to be the funding for the Moore's Addition siphon. Just want to let you know that we are still hoping to have that contract before the end of this year, but it really is up to, when the funding comes down to the regional HGAC. But we are hoping that that's nearly done. I'll also say is that we are nearing completion of our ARPA funded streets, which would be Caroline, 44th, 45th, and Illinois. We're coming to the near end on that. And the last thing I'd bring up is that, probably in the next meeting or two, we'll be coming with a pretty significant economic development agreement for council to consider. That's going to be coordinating between the EDC, the city, and the management district as part of that incentive package. So we'll be getting in front of all the bodies in the very near future. The goal is to kind of have the final. We have about 3 or 4 little decisions on words that have to be made, and then the goal is to start bringing those to the body. So I just wanted to make you all aware that that'll be coming up in the near future. So that's all that I have, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Move on to item 5, public comments. Members of the public are invited to give comments at this time, lasting not longer than 3 minutes. Comments may be general in nature or may address a specific agenda item and should be directed at the entire council, not individual members of council or staff. Any speaker making personal attacks or using vulgar or profane language shall forfeit his or her remaining time and shall be seated. In compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the city council may not deliberate. First up, we have Ms. Tammy Steenbarge.
Hi, my name's Tammy Steenbarge, and I live at 5109 Casa Grande. And first, I would like to apologize to anybody that was here and to everybody up here for being disruptive at the meeting and being asked to leave, which brings me to this piece of paper. And I appreciate that y'all are upholding the procedures and the rules, right? But there's other ones too that and I highlighted them here, and I just wonder, like, why aren't we upholding these as well? These are the ethics, and they're the rules of ethical conduct to govern city officials. I put the numbers of that y'all won by the ones that are up here. So I dare say that there's about 10 or 12 cancerous, radical people out there that are asking for a change. I think the numbers speak for themselves. Which I find it funny that all I've done is try to, same thing, and I'm going to read this. This was 2 years ago, since we're talking about Facebook. I think Facebook should be taken care of on Facebook, not in the city council meetings. However, this is this is the mayor's. And this was John Harris that spoke. And I have watched these boards and everybody look at who's ethical, who's this, where's there's conflict of interest. And these were the words of the mayor. First, I'm just going to read some because it's to tell you I'm not doing any more than what he was doing. Conflicts of interest by members of the EDC board. This is potentially illegal and is unethical. This is not how we should conduct business with the city of Dickinson. Some members of council took these issues very seriously while others did not. We cannot seem to muster a majority of the council to stand up and take action to clean up the EDC board, even though we know illegal and unethical actions took place. Ultimately, People have a right to a government that does the right thing and calls out ethical behavior, even when doing so is politically or personal inconvenient. And I call on this council to do that. And if they will not act, then I call up the citizens of Dickinson to stand up and demand they act. Nothing more. That's all we've been doing, you know? So I can't understand why that merits, you know, my criminal record being in the Galveston Daily News or what happened the other day. But I think it's time, man. This is a law that we kind of start going by this. I mean, don't y'all? These are laws that y'all put in, not us, y'all did.
Your 3 minutes is up.
And I'm just going to say this,
Your
but I
3
will say
minutes
it
is up.
says at the end
Your-
of the
your 3
speaker's
minutes is up.
allotted time,
Your 3 minutes is up.
the chair shall direct the speaker
Your
to
3
wrap it
minutes is
up,
up.
and the
Your
speaker
3
shall
minutes
not
is up.
exceed 1 additional minute of speaking time.
Next, we have Sue Emmett.
Hello. Sue Emmett, 3508 Hill Avenue, Dickinson, Texas. I want to say thank you to Chase and to Alexis. Is that right? I contacted them about getting the city right-of-way mowed on the railroad side of the street on Hill. The pipeline company had mowed, and ours, they made it look so shaggy. They got out there and did it. Yay, hooray, thank you. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. And lastly, we have Joan Malmrose, though I feel like Bill said everything that you were going to say, but you can go ahead and say it anyway.
I had it down to 3 minutes too.
You're good, you're
Now
good.
What am I going to do? So I'm Joan Malmrose, 218 FM 517. I wanted to speak to you. Oh, thank you again for your service. You know, I appreciate your time here. I wanted to speak to you as director of Dickinson Historical Society. As Bill said, this Thursday, we're very excited. Charlie Gordy, he's a little bit old, so we have to be nice to him, but he's going to be presenting about Camp Kirby, which just recently got on the North American list of forts, which was a big step for us. This Thursday, September 28th, 7 p.m., and it will be here in this room. As Bill said, the plant exchange is Saturday, October 14th. We're very excited. We're working with Keep Dickinson Beautiful. The Dickinson Police Officer Association will be there, and Galveston Bay will also be there giving out rain barrels. The event has gotten so big, so we kind of start out at the depot and move into the Methodist parking lot. So be looking for us there. The third thing I wanted to talk about was there is going to be a dedication of Dickinson's 6th historical marker at Mac Faget's house on 221 West Bayou on November 4th at 4 p.m. Max Faget was one of the first aerospace scientists at NASA. He was responsible for the Mercury, the Apollo, and the Gemini rockets, and he made a mock-up, I'm told, of the space shuttle in his garage. So this is going to be our 6th historical marker, November 4th. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was the Historical Society, again, is going to be sponsoring wreaths across America. We're going to decorate 96 veterans' graves with these wreaths. We're going to be at Dickinson City Cemetery, the Episcopal Cemetery right next door to the City Cemetery, and then Magnolia Cemetery. That's December 16th, 10 a.m. We'll do a ceremony, and I believe the high school ROTC is going to help us out there. I'm still looking for donations, so if you would like to donate, $17 for a wreath, contact wreathsacrossamerica.org and look for the Dickinson, Texas location. Time? You want me to talk some more?
25 seconds, 22, if you want to. All right, thank you. All right, item 6, the consent agenda. The following items are considered routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be a separate discussion on these items unless a council member requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed after the consent agenda. Okay, 6D. All right. Is there a motion to approve item 6A through 6E, accepting 6D?
Move to approve. Oh, second.
Motion by Councilman Townsend, a second by Councilman Simpson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6D, consideration and possible action to approve a resolution by the Dickinson Economic Development Corporation on amending the DEDC bylaws. Do we have a motion to take action on it? Approve, disapprove, et cetera?
Move to approve.
So motion approved by Councilman Simpson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, second by Councilman Linton. Discussion. Councilman Townsend, you had a question?
Yeah.
Oh, turn on your mic for me, sir.
I see they're rewriting it. They appointed a couple of members earlier to be advisory committees.
yeah.
Now they're moving them from the advisory committees moved them from being
Alternate.
alternate to now to advisory.
Mhm,
I
correct.
mean, do we have to have that in writing?
Well, if I can, and I'll do.
Theo, if you want to.
Yeah, if you don't
Go
mind, I'll do it real quick. So this is really just to be more in line with the state law that's binding. I know that our policy says that we can appoint alternates, but the state law doesn't allow us. An alternate kind of gives you the idea that a person can alternate on and vote, and that cannot be done by state laws, just on the EDC one, because their board makeup is absolutely kind of built with, here are the number of members. These are the ones that can vote. So we want to delineate, at least for the EDC's purposes, while, our policy calls it an alternate, this is a non-voting advisory to stay in line with state law.
That's right. I mean, so I think at the last meeting, you pointed out that there's 7 members of the board and it's just statutorily set here to conform with the city's other, board and commission standards, to have essentially 2 other members that can be prepped up in case there was ever to be a vacancy, instead of having to train somebody and all that. These 2 additional, what we're going to call advisory members, can be there. They don't vote. They don't count for quorum. They can't come into executive session unless invited. So essentially they're ex
So
officio.
this is
nothing.
following the policy that we have.
Yes, sir. But
Okay.
it joins state law with your policy.
This is squaring us up with the
Yes.
state law.
Yes.
Okay.
Questions or comments? Councilman Schick.
Would there be, would we be sending these advisory people to the training so that they can already be trained?
Well, that would be the best way to do it. The goal would be is that they would be trained up. They'd be going to everything. They'd be expected to be active in discussion, as long as they're invited to do so by the chair and the board, so that if the day comes, a vacancy comes up, then they can, if the council so chooses, can move someone in there and know that they've at least gone through TEDC basic, the sales tax workshop, those type of things, instead of, starting fresh with somebody. That's kind of what the idea would be, is you're calling them up from the minors, if you will.
And the open meeting training and everything else that goes along with it?
That would be the expectation.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll take this to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving to item 7, ordinances. Item 7A, consideration and possible action approving the creation and establishment of the Municipal Court of Record number 1 in the city of Dickinson, Texas.
Move
First
to
reading.
approve.
Is a motion to approve by Councilman Simpson. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Councilman Linton. Theo, are you going to talk about this, or is we're going to talk about this? How do you want to do this?
Come on, 7A.
Yeah, 7A.
Oh, well, it'll be me. I'll take care of it. So we had kind of discussed between Judge Greg and myself, as well as a court administrator, and Judge Greg would like to be here tonight, but he had a commitment with another city to work with. So the difference, one of the issues we run into as a city is that we are not what we call a court of record, which basically means we don't keep a recording, so that if there's ever an appeal, there can be a transcription that can then go to the county court or a district court for review. What that does is that if there's ever anything that is seen by the court, if someone appeals it and it's something that's eligible for appeal, then the county and or district court actually has the ability to and has to review the case, what we call de novo, meaning as if the first case never even happened. So they, enter the evidence, they do these type of things. We are blessed in Dickinson because we actually have a judge who is a licensed attorney, serves in other courts that are courts of record in the area. We have been working and feel I think we're in a good place between Gina, our court administrator, and Anna in our ability to keep the recordings necessary so that if a transcription service is ever needed, it can be provided. The video can be provided so that a court at county or district level is now not retrying the case from scratch. Now it's going to be more like what you would expect from like a circuit court of appeals more, where now they're looking at, okay, well, here's the evidence entered, was the law applied correctly and things of that nature. It allows us to do a lot more at the municipal court level. A lot of the things that would be going in front of building standards was a perfect example where now it would be entered into a court of record with the ability for transcription. And so Judge Gregg was actually I actually just asked him what his thoughts were on, would he have a problem with it? And he was like, no, he was actually from every account he and I have had. And what Gina's relayed to me is that this is something that Judge Gregg would really like to have because it actually does provide more service to the community and allow, so where building standards may get bogged down in all kind of demolitions and things of nature, now you have evidence being entered, a judge, ruling on that evidence being allowed in or out. And then any type of appeal is now not based on the evidence entered. It's about, was the law applied? I don't know if you wanted to add to that by any chance.
So I've not been involved in this discussion, but I reviewed this ordinance and it's in line with what needs to happen to convert to a court of record. But personal opinion on the thing for building standards alone, I think it's a good move for the city. Just because, you start any case that's going to go before a judge, especially building standards, or if you wanted to do like dangerous dogs hearings, those kinds of things, those can all get now, passed on to the court. So instead of having committees trying to make huge decisions for, property, for what it would be, those are done in a court. And I think it's a more proper venue. So taking this step, I think it's a good thing for the city. That's just my opinion, legal opinion now for the ordinance in front of you. It's in line with what state law will require to take that step.
Okay. Councilman Townsend? Sorry, he.
Let him go ahead.
Okay.
No, it's just real quick. It's the first reading of 2 or 3?
Of 2.
Yes, of 2. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry, Councilman Townsend.
The only question I had till the attorney spoke was this in the budget?
So most of this stuff is embedded in what we already do as a city. This is really more going to be dealing with making sure we have the court administrator being able to file things and being able to hold long-term storage. So it's really not going to be much of a budget difference. This is really I think actually our information technology budget actually embeds the one extra mic because we want to do is, of course, it's not, this isn't quite like people's court or something where it's like, you want to get those people as close as possible to make something TV worthy, and get them mad, right? So you want to have kind of 2 separate stations. So what you'd see is we'd use what we kind of have, and then we'd have like a wireless mic set off so that the 2 parties can be like a traditional court setting. So that'd be the only additional, and we embedded that into the IT budget in the event that y'all were good with this.
The second question, it goes back to what the attorney was saying. So if somebody opts for a jury trial, will we become part of the pool that they have with Galveston County, or are you going to have to do calling your own people to pool?
Oh, I don't believe that changes any of that. But
It's just, that'll be the court's rules for whatever it's going to be. But again, so it's really not much change. It's just more of the level of the court is increased essentially, so that you can handle more cases.
So I know if you go to jury duty, sometimes you get sent to this JB court or this court or this court. I was just curious if we use them or we got to pull our own jury pool.
well, yeah, Gina Vega.
I see
here.
Gina walking up. We don't really ever have you up here. This might, in fact, be one of the first, if not the only time, as I
Correct.
think about
That's
it. So
correct.
welcome.
So currently we do have jury trials. We don't have them very often, and we are currently pulling from the Galveston County list that I was given when I first got here. So 2 years ago, there's a whole new list that was created.
Well, I was just curious.
Yeah, and we typically will summons about 75 people.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Gina. Hearing none, we'll take this to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item, actually, I'm going to go slightly out of order just because we have a guest here. So I'm going to go ahead because these, sometimes we get lost in the weeds a little bit on these. I'm actually going to go to item 8F because I know we have a gentleman here that concerns 8F. And yes, we will get it on the board. We will. Item 8F. I'll even wait. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and start reading it while she pulls it up. It'll be up there.
Go ahead.
Item 8F, consideration and possible action approving a resolution of the City of Dickinson, Texas, containing a preamble approving an economic development project by Kikis LLC, DBA, Mackey and Brewing Company to build a brewery, and providing that this resolution shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage and adoption. So a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
The motion approved by Councilman Simpson.
Second.
Second by Councilman Lint. I don't know, Bill, you look like you were about to, but he beat you. Okay. We have someone here. So before we do discussion, if you'd like to talk about it.
Come on up, Mr. Starr.
But you can.
Come
Just
on
maybe
up.
just tell us about what you're about and all that.
Well, hi guys, my name is Mike Starr. I'm with a Backyard Brewing Company and the head brewer, VP, and cellar gremlin of the operation. I think as was discussed, we're looking to move our brewery into Dickinson proper, build an actual facility and with a good brew house and a kitchen. And we're looking forward to kind of serving the community in that capacity. It's the long and short of it, I suppose.
Okay.
Sure. And Cortland, why don't you come on up and talk a little bit, if you don't mind. So a little bit about this project here. So the Economic Development Corporation has been working on this one for quite a long time. Backyard Brewing currently operates outside of the city limits. Backyard Restaurant currently operates in Seabrook. And so this would be an opportunity for them to kind of get a foothold in the downtown of Dickinson. The property that they are looking at acquiring, and basically, if I'm not mistaken, it'll be a tear down and a full rebuild because they'll have to, is the Illinois Street property next to Rogers. The property has not been in use for many, many, many years. Also, it's a good location. One of the biggest things that, I would say about this project is that as you're looking at how do you begin the process of redeveloping a downtown and having a certain aesthetic and having certain things in a downtown that you would expect in a city our size downtown, this is a perfect example of one of those kind of anchor projects that can kind of talk about, hey, look, they invested in this downtown. And so should you, getting that first project is huge. And this is that first project. We, do anticipate others coming in, piggybacking off of the success of where we're going with Backyard Brewing. Cortland, I don't know if you want to talk maybe just a little bit about the nuts and bolts of the agreement, just real quick.
Nuts and bolts of the agreement, and you're right, it's a great project. We've been working on this for many years, about a year. So the nuts and bolts of it, the EDC owns this property and it acquired it for about $250,000. So it's a 10-year agreement that they have to maintain and stay open. They have to spend a minimum of $1,050,000 and over a payment of approximately $200,000 for their equipment and $800,000 for the operation in the building itself. They've got to maintain a certain amount of employees, ramping up from years 1 to year 3, and then maintain from year 4 through year 10 the amount of 6 employees or more after that. And for every year that they're in operation, 1/10 of the payment, basically a lease payment, but 1/10 of the payment goes away. And then they, at the end of year 10, basically the 11th year, they own the property free and clear.
So the idea is that the EDC had acquired the property for about $250,000. And so for each year of operation, it knocks off $25,000 from that, as long as they're meeting all the requirements sitting here. So just so you know, that's kind of how it operates. So, year 1, it goes to 225 to 200 to 175. So anyway, just wanted to go ahead and let them know that.
And since this is a performance agreement, there are clawbacks required by the state of Texas.
Do we have questions or comments on this item?
And the good
Councilor
news,
Schick.
it starts right away.
Yes.
So once, if it's approved tonight, they sign, we sign, and that triggers that date. This would be the first date if we all sign it tonight.
And just so you guys know, is that to try to get this moving as quickly as possible. Of course, there's still some ramp up time. I believe that you guys have already been pretty far along in the pre-development process with our staff and already kind of know what the requirements are, what you can build, how you need to build it, and so forth. So it's not like you're approving today and then they're going to start getting their architect together and then starting. We'll see y'all in about 3 to 6 months. It's like, no, they've already got all that together. And have been in discussions with city staff of, okay, what, some of it was to make sure they could actually build what they wanted to build on the site. So it was pragmatic for them, but it also means that we kind of skipped a step in a good way in that we're not having to wait for them to acquire those professional services.
My architect's like ready to go. He's been calling
Okay.
me every week.
Great. Councilman Townsend?
So we discussed that parking lot the other day, but you didn't bring up this part of it when we were discussing Thursday. So my question is, you just said they're going to tear the building down and rebuild it.
Yes, sir.
So do we want to pour a brand new concrete driveway when they're fixing to bring heavy equipment in there to tear down and rip the concrete out? They're going to use the slab that's already there.
So in our discussion, as I had mentioned, was that because this is ARPA federal funding in which the scope of work was kind of created, the original plan was they were going to try to retrofit the building. As that kept going along, and really the key issue was the elevation certificate, needing to get the base floor to a certain level. Well, that didn't come to a determination until after the RFP was awarded and everything for this, federal funding. So really, we have to do this scope of work.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're going to start jeopardizing kind of the audit process of that project. To your point, would it have been better to have done this a little differently? Yes, but at the time, our timing just wasn't right because at the time we thought it was going to be a retrofit of an old building, and they just can't make the numbers work to do a retrofit on the building.
So you'll have parking on the east side and the south side of the building? Let me put it this way, you'll have it on the Illinois side and 46 side?
It'll be definitely on the Illinois side, possibly on the on the south side of the property. But there will be also street parking because there will be more people attending or going to this business than would fit on the two little portions of parking. But the whole intent of the improvements of the streets was also to put street parking in as well
Yeah, so we have
to
some.
service this business and other businesses.
Yeah, so it's one of the reasons why, or part of the 44th Street improvement was to widen it enough to where it could accommodate some sawtooth parking. So it's going to add about, not a ton of space, but it's going to add about 12 spots on the street itself, sawtooth parking in. So
Okay. And then we got the deed, we had the first line of deed on it. If they default, we get the
Correct.
building back
yes, sir.
Yeah, correct.
in front of all their other loans that they may have to take out.
Yeah, I think we have the first right, correct?
We have the first right. And their lender has already agreed to it.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll take this to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, sir. All right, get to work. Yeah. Okay, we're going to go back to item 7B. Consideration and possible action approving the creation and, I'm sorry, wrong one, 7B. Let me actually read what's on there. Consideration and possible action concerning a request to amend the official zoning map from conventional residential zoning district to general commercial zoning district for the approximately plus or minus 0.18 acres located at 3404 Avenue D, legally described as Abstract 19, Perry and Austin, Sir, Lot 11, Emmett Sub Extension, and a request to amend the official zoning map for neighborhood commercial zoning district to general commercial zoning district for the approximately 0.16 acres located at 3405 Highway 3, legally described as Abstract 19, Perry and Austin, Sir, part of Lot 1183-0 Dickinson Edition D, second and final reading.
Move to approve.
It's a motion
Second.
approved by Councilman Simpson, second by Councilman Schick. Any discussion on this? I know we've already seen this before, so hearing none, we'll take this to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7C, consideration and possible action concerning a request for a specific use permit for car, truck, and RV washing facilities in a general commercial zoning district for approximately plus or minus 0.26 acres located at 3712 Highway 3 and legally described as Abstract 19, Perry and Austin, sir, part of lots 154, 0-2, Dickinson Edition D, second and final reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Councilman Simpson, second by Councilman Schick. Any discussion?
Yes, I got a couple.
Councilman Towns.
Got in trouble for this the other night for my wife for voting no.
Oh, okay.
I voted no. I don't have a problem with what they're doing. I have a problem on the background, the staff recommendations. I brought up about the RV last time. You said they're not going to have them in there, but still, I don't care if they clean them or not. It's just more money for them to make. What I have a problem is we're doing a SUP, but we telling them that you cannot have a mobile unit parking and it must be located in the rear property on the fence line. And any vehicle left overnight must be stored inside of a garage. My problem is who cares where they leave the car? We don't tell anybody else in town that they have to park all their cars in the garage and you can't leave them outside. So why are we telling these people that they leave it out one night there in violation of their SUP?
So part of the reason why I included that condition is so that they will have those vehicles secure. There is right past the building, there's a fence where it already has everything that it needs to store vehicles. There's 2 garages, plenty of space behind the fence. And it's really just to keep the property clean.
I understand that,
And
but we're not
secure.
making the guy down the street that's parking on somebody else's property that has to go with 7B. They got to fight now to get them cars off of their lot. He's got lots scattered everywhere. We don't make McCree Ford do it. We don't make Gay Pontiac do it. We don't make anybody else do it. So why are we going to make them do it?
Well, I think one of the big issues would be similar to, because this is really more about a service to the cars, is that, unlike, say, the McCree's, Gay, those are parking lots to show off the cars, and they have their own security deal. In this situation, I think the reason why the condition was there, and did they agree to this condition?
Yes, they did.
Okay. So, and the reason why I think they're okay with the condition is that, oftentimes we have automobile service places that, I'm not going to name names, but, might be lining up cars along a street. I think this is kind of to start the process of addressing that if we're going to allow something in the SUP that it does maintain a certain standard, because this one does fall under the SUP. That's the reason. Whether or not you agree.
I think I don't want to penalize a guy because a car got left outside. From what I see, he's only got one garage back there, unless he opened up the back of the building and where they can drive in, because it was an old cleaner's building is what it was. So they got one garage back there. And I'm, for detailing, I understand most of them, they get it wash, dried, wax, and they get it home. It doesn't stay overnight before the guy that brings it in, so you don't have to get up early in the morning and bring it in like you would a regular place. I just think it's an undue burden on them for that to be in there.
Yes, sir. And that's fair enough. I mean, obviously y'all can set the SUP to what y'all want. I think maybe one of the reasons why this condition is pretty useful is not necessarily for the situation. I totally believe and trust that they are going to operate a very professional service, but let's just say this SUP and, it's a couple years later, and now, for whatever reason, maybe business is really booming. Now they're lining up the cars just like some of the others. This kind of then says, okay, it gives us something that if it starts getting to where it's lining up along the street to say, hey, your SUP actually says you're not even supposed to have any vehicles. We kind of look the other way a little bit, with the one vehicle, but you're starting to cause a burden on the street itself. Because if we take it out, that means that then if they do start lining up a ton of cars along the property line, there's really no teeth for us other than, putting a no parking sign out and then passing an ordinance to say you can't park cars here.
Can't park too many cars there, because if they do, they'll be out in the middle of Highway 3.
What if we were to change the wording to say the vehicles must be parked on their premise and just stop right there?
I mean, that's y'all's SUP, so it's whatever condition.
Does that kind of gets into an enforcement issue though? Like, how do they know if the cars are them or not? Or
It's a fence. From what I've seen of it, it's got a fence. It's got a screen on it. It's pretty well out of sight. I just think it's an undue burden on them for that one point. it's not that big a garage. I don't even think my other truck would have fit in that garage if they had to put it in there at night. It was too long.
Mayor, council, I'd like to also add one thing. I used to do enforcement. And so probably one of the biggest things, and where Mr. Schick, Councilman Schick, you mentioned on their site, well, there's nothing that's going to stop them from basically piling cars in when there's no circulation in the parking lot and things like that as well. So I think part of the reason why I add some of these conditions is to try to protect it where it doesn't become that later.
I mean, I don't like putting extra burdens on people. I feel like in this case, if they are okay with the change and we've gone through it, it bothers me a little bit less, but that's just me. But if someone would like to motion to change what this would be, you're free to do that, of course.
I'll amend it to take
Okay.
out that one line where they had to put it in a garage at night.
Okay, so there's a motion by Councilman Townsend to strike that provision. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, there's a second by Councilman Schick. Is there any discussion on the amendment? I'll just say I'm probably going to vote no on that simply because I think they've agreed to it. And it sounds like staff is sort of the opinion that this is a good workaround, but I see where y'all come from as well. So is there any other discussion on this? All right, hearing none, we'll take this to a vote. All those in favor of approving the amendment to the SUP, not the SUP itself, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
All right, motion fails. So we'll move back to item 7C. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take this to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to item 8, action items for consideration. Let me do a little preamble here. So this is when we do the tax rate annually. So these are not our rules, these are state laws. So let me explain sort of the nonsense we're about to do that is very confusing. So we're about to have a series of 3 votes. The tax rate is only approved upon the passage of the 3rd vote, which I believe needs to be a roll call vote. Is that correct? Okay. All 3 need to be a roll call vote? Or is it just, I think it's just C, isn't it?
Just C.
Correct. Okay. So what we have to do, there's 2 parts of our property tax rate. There's the M&O part and the maintenance and operation, and then the debt service part. We have to approve those separately. And then even though we've approved both of those, yes, still we have to approve what they add up to in the final ordinance there. So I will note off the bat, and people are free to say this during discussion, this would adopt to the quote no new revenue rate. So this would not be a tax increase on the residents. Any additional revenue generated in the next fiscal year is due to new construction, things like that, property coming onto the tax roll, not an actual increase in taxes from your pocket. So just to say that. Anyway, item 8A, consideration and possible action on approving 0.03, and I got to say it all right. Okay, 0.032232 as the maintenance and operations portion of the 2023 ad valorem tax rate.
So move.
All right, motion by Councilman Townsend, second by Councilman Schick. Is there any discussion on this? I would like to make one comment that it's related to this. So, obviously, the city has its 2 sources of revenue, well, more than 2, but the 2 primary would be property and sales tax, right? Typically, if you're having a lot of sales tax issues, you've got a couple options. You either you cut the budget in some way, or you're going to have to increase property taxes, or a combination of the 2, right, to come up with issues. So there was a comment made at the previous council meeting that sales tax is down somewhere in the neighborhood of 40% in Dickinson, and that really kind of made my jaw drop because that is not reflected in the actual tax receipts that we have brought in. We have not seen a real reduction of any revenue of 40%. So I did ask the staff, and they were kind enough to pull it together for me today, that what is going on there. If you take just a bare view of the comptroller, that is technically correct. If you just look at the comptroller's number, the problem though is that is not an accurate measure due to the existence of 380 agreements. I'm not going to bore everyone by getting into the minutia of 380 agreements, but these are tax agreements where large distributors or companies or whatever will come here and we receive the sales tax for all of the sales that they make. We have agreements with them that we rebate a portion of their sales taxes. When you account for that, it can appear that your tax rate or your tax revenue falls precipitously. However, when you look year to year, that is not the case. The best way to explain this would be to say, as we've had slowdowns in the housing industry nationwide, et cetera, there has been less activity going through the 380s. And so there has been a subsequent dip in that revenue. But on Main Street, Dickinson. You go to Murray, you go to Geo's, you go to Keyworth Hardware. There has not been a 40% reduction. In fact, I was shown one large taxpayer in the city that would be a Main Street taxpayer actually had an increase of 1%, right? So there is a real reduction in the terms of 380 agreements and these tax rebate programs, but it is not a Main Street reduction in property tax, I'm sorry, in sales tax loss. I just wanted to highlight that briefly as we move along. So otherwise, if we'd actually had a 40% revenue, I'm sure our checks would be bouncing. If we'd had a 40% sales tax revenue reduction. The employees, none of you would be here right now because you would have gone home. Anyway, so just to throw that out. Councilman Simpson.
So like to point out when you mentioned the 380s, some of them have come to an end.
Correct.
And it looks like the sales tax revenue dropped, but we had some companies that we were rebating almost, especially on the management district side, 100% of that sales tax revenue was going back to that company. And one of them would audit their sales tax revenue every 3 years and find out they overpaid. And so we would have to send even more money back to them. And so when those go away, it's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. The money was coming in and going right back out anyway, and that part dropped. So just want to point that out.
Correct. And a lot of it's how it's reported to the comptroller. And if you look at those numbers in a certain way, then you don't get the whole story. But I just want to be clear, there is not a 40% reduction in the city sales tax receipts or in the general economy of the area at large on Main Street. That is not true. Councilman Linton.
That's how it was explained to me by Harrison as well.
Yeah. Are there any other comments or questions on this item? We do not need a roll call vote this one. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8B, consideration and possible action on approving 0.044638 is the debt service portion of the 2023 ad valorem tax rate. Motion approved by Councilman Simpson, a second by Councilman Townsend. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take this to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, item 8C. An ordinance of the City of Dickinson, Texas, approving the 2023 ad valorem tax rate and levy of 0.366870 per $100 of assessed valuation of all taxable property within the corporate limits of the city, of which rate 0.044638 is dedicated to debt service and 0.3222232 is dedicated to maintenance and operations, providing for the assessment, levy, and collection of ad valorem taxes of the City of Dickinson, Texas for the year 2023 and for each year thereafter until otherwise provided, providing the date on which such taxes shall be due and payable, providing for penalty and interest on all taxes not timely paid, authorizing exemptions, providing a repealer clause, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Motion approved by Councilman Schick. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Simpson. All right, we have to, is there any discussion, first of all? I would assume not.
No, I was just gonna ask you to read them numbers again, but I'll leave it
Yeah, man,
alone.
you're gonna do me like that. Well, no wonder your wife's mad at you. You act like that. Yeah. I was gonna let you stay at my place, but not anymore.
I'll leave that alone.
Okay. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none, we need to roll call vote this. So I'm going to start with Councilman. I forget. I think you're one, right? Technically, it doesn't. I can do it in any order, but you're six. All right. I'm gonna do it anyway. All right, Councilman Linton, you're first. We're gonna do you first.
Inversely proportional.
That's right.
Yes. I vote to approve it.
You vote aye. Okay. Councilman Schick.
Approve.
All right. Councilman Townsend.
I approve.
Councilman Simpson.
Aye.
And I vote yes as well. So the motion carries. Okay. Item 8D, consideration and possible action on the approval of the Dickinson Economic Development Corporation FY 2023/2024 budget. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Motion approved by Councilman Simpson. Is there a second? Is there a second? Anybody?
Second.
Okay. Second by Councilman Schick. All right. Discussion.
Is Cortland going to come up?
Yeah,
Okay.
he can,
Okay.
get some questions or whatever. He can talk about it. Sure. Cortland, come on up. You probably should just stay up there probably for 80 maybe. So anyway.
Yeah. Any questions?
Questions anybody has or anything you'd
Yeah, I gotta find it. It has something to do with the
Councilman Townsend?
parades. Let me find it. There's one of them called parades and something else.
A line item.
Yes, it's called it won't let me highlight it and keep it. So it's, what is the festival and
Special-
parades?
Special events.
Yeah, festival and parades.
You get to that.
Do you have a page number for him on that, Mark?
There's only
Get
one
it bigger.
page. So it's two.
That's right. It's not in the packet. Okay.
Festivals and your sheet is a little bit different than mine. I'm using a worksheet here. And I have notes on my side. I have Festival of Lights.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it's for. I don't know.
Well, that's a no budget. That's been removed because I'm not allowed to do that anymore.
I
Same
think for
thing for
reference, I think
Dickinson
it's like
Beautiful.
two-thirds of the way down. You have DEDC, administrative operations.
Special events.
So
Former.
parades and festivals in the parentheses. It's down 10,000.
That one, actually, that line item is 0.
Huh?
Hold on.
50.
Showing 50,000 on mine. It's down
Yeah.
10,000.
Let me go back one. What category is it under?
Administration operations. It's about halfway down. It's
Okay.
called 40s. It's like
Training
8425 or something like that.
DEDC administration operations.
That's a decrease in 10,000.
Right.
So
I
it
just
was
asked
at
what it's
60
for.
and we went down to 50.
Yeah. What is the parade and festival?
Okay. That one. I gotta find it again. It's at 50,000. That's what I'm going to look for. Basically, that's going to be when we're doing the BR&E. When we had, I'm going to just have to do this from memory. So when we did the event Blue Bio event last year, what the EDC did was a business retention event portion here, and we utilized the funds to have booths for showcasing the businesses that were in the community and attracting additional services to their businesses.
So to answer your question, Councilman Townsend, is so what this does, it kind of allows the EDC and kind of kind of like in utilizing marketing and things of that nature for the local businesses. This kind of allows them at different parades, functions, and events to be able to say, hey, let's do a business showcase. Let's get some local businesses, and maybe they'll give out free coupons. Maybe they'll do, whatever, show all, pass out brochures and things of that nature. Is that the intent of this line item?
I just found it. So the purpose for this potential BRE for Red White Bayou and other events, the fiscal year 23 was 2 other accounts because were unused. And this is consolidating those 2 accounts into this one for an expenditure when we do another BRE event like we did last year.
All right. So that's separate from the next one down, which
It
is
would
the
be
marketing and promotions for 200,000.
Correct. That was our standard one that we're allowed to do up to 10% of our budget to market the community. And it's separate from the BRE.
Yeah, because the BRE is dealing with the current existing businesses, where the marketing and promotion is dealing with working with, like getting into trade magazines or, creating promotional videos or promotional items and things of that nature. So it's kind of a different audience. You're looking at prospective businesses looking at coming to your community. The other is kind of like businesses here and being able to highlight them at local events.
Our property locator, our website, those type of events when we're sponsoring as well and helping attract businesses through sponsorship from organizations that we support and getting our logo to be seen by others.
All right. And on the top one of that, the refund of sales tax to comptroller. I
That's-
really didn't think I didn't think that came out of your budget. That came out of the general fund budget because y'all couldn't, 4B money couldn't be used for that for like 380s.
No, so let me go ahead and answer. So this is dealing with the fact that there were sales taxes get paid to the city and then divvied out to each of the entities
Right.
that the comptroller said that money needs to come back to the comptroller, basically. So the EDC received it. The EDC is going to give it back to the city so it can send it back up to the comptroller.
Okay, this don't have nothing to do with 380s.
I mean, it has to
I
do
mean,
with the
It
380.
doesn't do with the normal everyday 380.
Yeah,
This
this
has
is-
something to do with that other one?
Yes, sir. This has to do with
Went away.
Arch Rock. Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is us, basically, we're on a payment plan to get that money back to them,
Okay.
basically. So we're
you
not
have to
getting
get
it.
back the money that they actually got too. This isn't the payback money.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody had to pay back.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you did.
I'd like a follow-up on what Councilman Townsend had asked you. You do have in projects and programs, business retention, you've got $200,000 there also. Correct. So business retention, all three of those programs together is $450,000.
The other one that you're talking about is to create a potential organization that could be utilized to fund a person to do specific business retention outreaches that are separate from a festival type of event, but going directly to the businesses that when you were on the EDC board with another of the members of the board, we're going out specifically. Well, this is creating that type of a 501c6 type of an organization that certain things we can't do legally that a 501c6 can do or a C3 can do. If that organization is created, that is the funds that could be earmarked for that to do the additional outreach. Now, if that never occurred, we still have the funds to hire an additional person to go specifically to retain existing businesses and help them expand with that type of funding.
Yeah, it would be reallocated. Like if it ended up becoming like an employee of the EDC, then what you would do is you'd carve out the amount and send it up to the payroll. The rest, probably most of it, because we can't issue grants as the EDC to some of these existing businesses. So that would probably just go back to the fund balance.
Councilman Linton.
So do you have the source file? Because the embedded image in this PDF file is, I'm having to use the disability assistance of the operating system to view it. Can you just send that later?
Yes, I can. This came from finance. I can send that in a cleaner file.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, something with a better resolution. That's all I had to
I
say.
printed it off too, and I was having a hard time reading it. That's why I went to my alternate sheet, which is my personal version.
Right.
So,
Councilman Schick, you have another question?
yeah. So it looks like to me that in our total expenditures, we have a little bit, slightly over $4 million, an increase of $1,500,000.
Correct. Part of that was also $690,000 that has been budgeted for street improvements on 44th Street. And that's a good portion of the chunk that was utilized. It's
44th, 45th, and Illinois.
Illinois.
So we used some ARPA funds, but some of that was not, that was especially 44th, at least going down 44th Street was not necessarily, I mean, it does help, by the way. There was some drainage issues that this is fixing. I just want to be very clear, very good. But that was not really going to be the next priority project to go all the way down. So we had to kind of cut off a couple of projects. And so what this does is that it allows us to kind of get that funding back for the Pabst, Oleander, Sycamore, and Bayou Drive to be able to do some improvements there.
And in that increased amount, I notice you don't have but $500,000 for property acquisition in there.
So there's 500, it's kind of deceptive. There's 500,000 for acquisition and another 500,000 for loan payments. But we're also going to potentially utilize the First State Bank line of credit to acquire the properties as well.
Yeah, your line of credit wouldn't show up. This is your operating budget. So the expectation is not to draw everything out of the operating, to be able to lean on that line of credit as those opportunities for acquisition occur.
And this doesn't have any money in it for a project to do a parking garage either.
The line of credit that we have acquired also accounts for the majority of the potential payment that we would do for the EDA grant parking garage,
Well,
up to $1 million.
hold on, let me
Okay.
answer. So one of the big things is a lot of this is going to be done through multiple years, even the construction. So there's a very good, budgeting the full 1.5 million is probably, and saying we're going to dispense, say, from October 1 to September 30, that whole 1.5 million, our portion is highly unlikely. It's probably going to be over 2 years. So the recommendation in that scenario is that what we're going to do is once the EDA agreement is in place and we have, because right now we're at kind of, I think 50%. Is that where, so we
50%.
held it until we got this EDA agreement at the Water Street project that's coming to you guys. Once that's lined out and we get to the 100%, there'll actually be a schedule made of what the expected draws will be. So we'll actually kind of have a schedule of when to expect it. At that point, if it's still in this fiscal year, we'd come for an amendment to say, okay, we don't need a 1.5 million. We need 275,000. Next year, we're on schedule for another 1 million. And then the following year, maybe 200,000 in final. So that's when we'll come back and say, here's the schedule. We know exactly kind of the construction schedule, and this is what needs to draw in each fiscal year.
Any other questions? Good questions, by the way. Good
I want to go
questions.
back to
Councilman
one
Townsend.
that you said. You said this item of the property and acquisition was 500, then there was 500 not showing, then you got a line of credit. So where's the second 500 that's not showing, or did I misunderstand what you said?
Let me.
It's just below it under, what is it? Debt service?
So it's property acquisition and debt payment and principal. And then you got a debt payment, payment
debt
of
service.
interest. So 500,000, 500,000, and 234,000.
Mhm.
And that goes for all those three go for the acquisition of the properties.
All right, so I got the 500 under the capital outlay. Where's the other 500?
Debt
Oh,
payment,
debt principal and
yeah,
interest,
principal,
and then the interest.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when you got a line of credit on top of that.
correct.
Well, isn't a debt payment and all that that's what's paying off the line of credit.
Correct.
Yes.
If we utilize the line of credit to its totality. So let's say it's $4 million that we purchased the property for, which is the maximum line of credit. That would be the annual for this fiscal year.
The principal and interest of the 500 and the 234.
Yeah. If it was maxed
And
out.
paying it down, also paying the principal down.
Other questions or comments? Okay. Hearing none, we'll take this to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, and item 8E, consideration and possible action to approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of Dickinson, Texas, approving an amendment to the ASA agreement between the Dickinson Economic Development Corporation and the City of Dickinson. A motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion approved by Councilman Simpson, second by Councilman Linton. Cortland, I don't think there's a lot of changes in this as I recall. Could you highlight what the changes are?
Basically, this is a 3-year agreement for the city to mow and maintain the property at the city's discretion. This is a cost savings for the EDC. In lieu of the city having to purchase 3 mowers, they're going to be able to utilize the 3 mowers that they now have at the Public Works Alexis's shop, and utilize it for both EDC's properties as well as city's properties and easements that they need to maintain.
So this administrative services agreement, basically annually, the EDC has been paying a pretty penny.
Yes, I remember some
Close to 100,000.
crazy figures in the budget from.
Well, and that was because there's some large tracks that need to be maintained now. So the agreement we've come to is that if the EDC purchases the equipment at about $38,000, that for 3 years, the city, in consideration is that any properties that the EDC has, that we will maintain them. Now, some of the larger tracks that are more, expansive, we may not cut, but, cyclically, seasonally. But the ones like the 3 acres right here, we want to keep pristine. So we'll be running a lot of cycles there. So we're going to, we'll work through what's kind of the best cycles. But, this is a really great opportunity because I would say that, the cost savings here is for the EDC, upwards of, $70,000 a year, every year, at least.
Correct.
And it helps us because we want to get the mowers. This is helping us as well as, this is one of those synergy things is as we have more mowing requirements and we have the staff dedicated to doing it, then, we can do in the short term as we're turning over property through these economic development agreements, that in that interim period, instead of going hire a contractor at some exorbitant price, because they got to make money and they got to pay off their equipment and all that thing. This is a way it kind of helps all the parties in synergistically. So
I know you bought 3 turns, but if some of the properties that big, wouldn't it have been more economical to buy maybe a tractor with a brush hog where you could knock it out quicker and faster?
so
Just a question.
yeah, so I think Alexis, I think we have that. Do we have the equipment to handle some of that?
Yeah, so we have 3 tractors at the shop. We also have a skid steer that has a brush hog attachment. So,
Okay, I was just curious.
yeah.
But if you'd like to amend it for us to get another tractor, I don't think Alexis would be against it, by the way.
I'm giving you all this overtime over the weekend. You ought to have plenty of money.
I know.
I'm quite down. I'm asking for my cut after the next weekend.
Other questions? Councilman Linton, did you have a?
No, I was
Oh,
just
you
going to
look like
say
you
when I
did.
talked to Theo about this, it's going to be 57 acres approximately. So, because my question was, $33,000 for 3 mowers? Or are they using some flux capacitor or cold fusion, diamond bearings? But anyway, I guess that's what commercial mowers cost. Mine cost me $200 20 years ago. So anyway,
You're not mowing 50 acres of that mower, Fred.
that is correct. As far as you know.
If you want to save us some money, you can get up there.
Put it
That's
this way,
right.
when my
Burn
mother
some,
bought
burn
one,
some calories.
my mother bought one for me to mow her property. The cheap ones are already $500 more than what she paid for the good one that we got. So when you get the commercial grade, they're up to around $10,000 or more. Not bad.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Volunteering for work? No. Okay. All right. Hearing none, we'll take this to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item 9, adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Townsend, second by Councilman Simpson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned at 7:19 p.m.